This isn't just any hike. It's a journey through time, where each step unravels secrets buried for centuries. We'll be scaling sheer cliffs, squeezing through narrow crevasses, and encountering ancient Chacoan ruins. As we navigate slick rock in the footsteps of the ancients, we'll uncover historical tidbits and jaw-dropping facts that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. We are starting here in Chaco Canyon at the Pueblo Alto Trail, and it's supposed to have some really cool stair steps and some ruins, and also kind of a view of where they constructed all the roads out of here. So it's supposed to be really neat. It is one of the most popular trails, of the longer trails to do this. So here we go. This trail starts at the northwest end of the Pueblo Alto parking area, so it does have a tendency to fill up since the parking lot is rather small. The first part of this hike is rather easy. You'll end up walking up a dirt road for about 0.3 miles all the way until you reach Kin Kletso Great House. And truthfully, this is where the real adventure begins on this trail. That goes around these ones.
I don't know. I just saw the case.
Yeah, you can see how big the rocks are. They're so much different. Kin Kletso is very unique, and by unique, it's unique for this area. Unlike the other structures in Chaco Canyon, this one's actually rectangular, which is more of what you would see in a style like Mesa Verde. And that's probably because they were built around the same time, around 1125 to 1130 AD. This style of rectangular building is known as the McElmo style. It features enclosed kivas, blocky masonry, and no great kiva or enclosed plaza. Super unique, they found indications of a jewelry workshop here.
3,000 approximately, a little more. 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. How many is that? 3,000. That's like 30,000 feet.
Having a problem with national park mileage.
It's gone from 4.8 to 5.4.
So which one is it? This sign says 4.8.
Probably 7.2.
That says 5.04, and our brochure says 5.1.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
7.2.
And the website says 3.7.
Yeah, they all lie.
Just saying. National park mileage is not real mileage.
I already have 5-some miles in.
We do.
Like 6 miles actually.
So this
I had
is
9 miles yesterday.
So we've done a lot of hiking. And this is going to be quite the uphill. As you can see, the trail ascends pretty quickly from the canyon floor, and it's up this really rocky slope. But what they don't tell you on the sign, and what's only printed in the brochure should you purchase it, is that this is actually where the ancient people would climb up. Once you're up the boulder field, you think that you might be done, but you have to climb up this narrow crevasse to get to the top of the cliff. Now it's fun to imagine how the native people used to use this day in and day out. And just thinking what they might have been thinking through here, it's an amazing place to behold. And on a positive note, you get to do this twice. Yep, you get to climb right back down and get back to your car later. And the real good news is that this is probably the hardest part of the entire trail. First part is not for the faint of heart, because that is going to suck going back down.
It'll be fun.
They say no, they don't. I know I don't like heights, so. But we got an amazing view. We're at the very top. Views of Chaco Canyon stretch to the south and west. To the southeast on the valley floor is Pueblo Alto, but you can't enjoy the view forever, so you must hike on. You'll follow the marked trail, which is marked by rock cairns, as it travels across the slip rock atop of the edge of the mesa. This section of the trail you'll get to enjoy coming and going back to your vehicle, but there are some historical markers along the way for you to enjoy. The first one you'll encounter is at about 0.6 miles, and you will find 2 round basins that have been carved into the slick rock. Many of these bases are located along the cliff edges around Chaco Canyon. In many places, these basins are surrounded by masonry walls 25 to 100 feet in diameter. But how were these basins actually used? We really don't know. Were they used for water? Maybe, but the jury's still out on that one. Not too far away, you'll run into this stone circle. Again, this is another Chacoan mystery. We really don't know what it was used for. What do you think? Comment down below. After about a mile of walking, you'll finally reach the junction in the trail which you'll get to start the loop on. We recommend, of course, enjoying Pueblo Bonito first. It's a really great overview of some of the complexes you've already seen, and you really get that true sense of what that D shape is. After enjoying Pueblo Bonito overlook, you'll have a decision to make. You can either do the trail counterclockwise or you can go clockwise. We made the decision that we were going to go to the Pueblo Alto complex first, which would take us clockwise. This section of the trail seems like it's going to be the most boring part, but it really shouldn't be. Along the way, you're going to see evidence of the Chacoan roadway system. Now, what do I mean by roadway? Well, the Chacoan people were famous for having built their own roadway system between different places and different complexes throughout the Southwest. And you're probably thinking, oh, these are just trails, but they're not. These roads are remarkably straight and carefully constructed. Some of them even measure about 15 feet in width, while the ones that are outside of the canyon can be 30 feet wide in some places. The most significant aspect of these roadways was their straightness. The roads are generally aligned very precisely and continue for considerable distances with the same alignment without curving or adapting to the landscape like many modern roadways. When they do change direction, it tends to be with a sharp angled turn rather than gentle curves like we use today. Occasionally, which you'll witness this kind of construction on the trail, the people would construct masonry ramps to help people get to the top of the cliffs. Now, a lot of these roads from the ground are not obvious, so they have put in signs to help identify these segments so that you'll able to identify them as you hike. Of elevation gain at this point. We started way down beyond that ridge where the truck is parked, and we are now on top of the ridge, and behind me you can see that is Pueblo Alto, and that is one we're going to go see before we do finish the loop and go see some other cool things. But we're almost to the main attraction here, and whew, it is quite the haul up, but not terrible. Now, the Pueblo Alto complex is actually comprised of 6 structures, only 4 of which are visible. Pueblo Alto is the largest of the ruins and is the only structure that has been partially excavated. The other structures in this area, Rabbit Ruin, East Ruin, and New Alto to the west, remain unexcavated. For our journey today, we decided to visit New Alto first. New Alto is your basic structure like most of the other ruins. It's a 2-story McElmo style and was built around 1100 AD. The ruin consisted about 58 rooms arranged around a kiva. All of these structures have been stabilized but not excavated. After enjoying New Alto, we headed in the direction of Pueblo Alto, and in between here you get a real perspective of the road system. From this sign you stand at one of the actual roads, which carries on for miles. It's kind of amazing that they had the foresight to build such systems. From here we carried on to Pueblo Alto. Initial construction of Pueblo Alto coincides with the construction of Chaco Canyon, which is around 1020 to 1050 AD. While many of the great houses at Chaco are multiple stories, Pueblo Alto was only 1 story, which makes you wonder why. And even more odd, excavation work did not uncover a kiva anywhere in the complex, which makes it an even more complex oddity. Archaeologists have found evidence of 4 roads from the north that converge here at Pueblo Alto. With all the roads converging here, it really made you wonder why they didn't have a great kiva. Kivas are typically a major important structure in Native American life. At this point, if you don't want to continue the whole loop, you would go back to the direction you came because it'll be a shorter hike. Well, we really wanted to see the Jackson staircase, so we continued on for the rest of the loop, which can feel rather long, so it isn't for the faint of heart. This part of the trail here is rather easy. It's pretty much no elevation gain, and so you're just kind of walking through the desert enjoying the scenery and all the views that are in the area. Before too long, you'll be back at the canyon edge. And with our feet screaming and starting to get a little bit tired, we finally arrived at the famous Jackson staircase. This impressive set of Chacoan stairs are carved into the sheer cliff at the head of the rincon and are part of the road leading to Chaco Canyon and Pueblo Alto. These stairs were named after William Henry Jackson. He was a photographer in the 1877s for the Hayden Survey. But look at how steep those are, wow. You'll hike along the top of this bench for quite a while, and really there isn't much to see besides the same canyon views that you've been witnessing. But before you know it, you'll be at the next major obstacle. It's difficult to find, but there is a brown mylar marking at the bottom of this one section that will show you that the trail climbs down a narrow slot between two large boulders. So be ready for that. Back here, you have to be really careful because your feet are too big if you're adults.
Almost.
If you're a child,
Your
your feet fit just fine. But here is this crack here. And it's hard to tell on camera, but that is super narrow where your feet are almost too wide to go down sideways. You have to kind of shimmy down. So it's not hard, it's not terrible,
It's not bad.
but it's just,
It's easy.
but it is something to be aware of that I didn't know existed on this trail. Have to come home.
Beach, sleep with your waters. We're 10 miles in. 10.93 miles in. Well, okay, it's 4 or 5 miles this trip. We did 5 more before.
I know.
All right, I'll make it.
Between yesterday and today, we'll have like 21 miles in.
Is that all? 21 miles?
Something like that.
Nice.
They don't know that at this point, but there you
If
go.
you don't see me in future videos, I didn't make it.
we just decided to live here.
Jeez. All right. Oh,
That wasn't so bad.
we're ready.
And it's this way.
Yes. So this ramp view gives you the idea of where the road was and how they constructed some of these ramps to get over some of the obstacles. They're a little hard to see, but they're there. So we are at the point of the trail where it feels like it's an eternity. And we have about a mile left before we join up with where the loop ends and goes into the access point trail. So, which from that point we still have 1.4 miles. So, tired. It's way longer than anticipated. So I would say that all the mileage is wrong, and I'm going to calculate it when I get home because my feet, my dogs are tired. From this point on, you have a couple other overlooks to enjoy, one of them being the Chetro Kettle overlook, as well as passing by Pueblo Bonito again. But before you know it, you'll be back on the major slot to get down. The crack, this is about halfway down. And that is halfway up. So this is kind of where it's at. And so it's kind of steep. After completing this hike, you have a major appreciation for the Chaco people. They were innovators, explorers, and seemed like a people who didn't know how to take no for an answer.